Twitch, and momentarily we will also be streaming on the other thing, and then we can freaking get started as always. Um, it always takes like 50 seconds. Okay, we're good. We're live. We're incredible. We're up on both. I presume someone will uh uh update or tell the stinkies on the discords and stuff. Um, Incredible. Hello, everyone. Welcome to fucking episode 5 of Holy War. This is a little taste of my stinky little games and all the terrible things I do to my players in them, or sometimes they do to each other. Um, I'm just William, I'm a professional game master. This is part of the Tales of the Shattered Empire anthology. The thing that we're exploring is both about these uh, people being mean to each other, but also a somewhat important event that will happen at some point in this story. Um, we'll go around the table. I'll just point at people and force you to say hi. Jacob, say hi.
Hello.
John, say hi.
What is up?
Andy, say hi. You're muted. You gotta do that again.
Hi.
David, say hi.
Hi.
Tucker, say hi.
No, I don't want to.
Oh, Tucker. Tucker, say hi.
Hi.
Incredible.
How
Um,
high are you?
how high are you? I think so. Part of the mechanics, the function of these particular games, so anything I'm streaming with my players, is to more get a sense of how most of my games run. I'm trying not to play things up too much for the camera, partially because I run so many goddamn games a week. I couldn't. Um, we don't always have those energy reserves, and that's part of the experience, motherfuckers. Um, I have a sense of how I want to start this session. Um, uh, but I also want to briefly touch, as usual, on our little character recaps. Sans uh, uh, David, since his character fucking died, and there's no recap to happen anymore. Um, Sorry, this is just this is a candid question. We didn't see Noel passing through the rivers. We didn't have a river scene with him. Okay, cool.
We need that. We need that.
I think I think
Yeah.
I think that might be like end of like end of story thing where we anyone who dies, they have their little scenes. More of you are in danger, although Noel's death was orchestrated. Um, but briefly,
I'm never gonna die.
never gonna die. No one would kill you. Um,
No.
let's let's touch on these characters' feelings and such. So last session we had a big scale battle, which was already going poorly for you, kind of devolve into a melee. The four of our surviving characters got into a fight with one guy, could barely handle it. And then Nicodemus killed a guy who is a human person.
Yeah,
Um,
fuck that guy.
yeah, like that guy. Like, what was he doing there? You know what I mean? Um, but yeah, how are all our characters feeling after that experience, and kind of with our frames of mind on this question? I'm saying so many words. It's a problem sometimes. On kind of like the thing that just happened was Nicodemus shooting that guy down.
Only did Ismarie and Gus see that?
They were like 30 feet away from it.
I thought they were still having their moment.
Yeah, they're having a moment, but 30 feet away, some guy got shot by Nicodemus. Turn around and be
I'm
like,
busy
hey, what the heck?
crying. Okay. I was
I think
crying. I did not see that. There are too many tears in my eyes.
I think I'm gonna answer this as if Redman was asked this question to a degree. And I think physically he's feeling tired. Um, and mentally. The only feeling I think he's allowing himself to feel or think about is stress, I guess.
Mm.
Because again, he's been, restricting the flow of feelings. He doesn't think they're necessary. He knows they're human. They come from all living beings have it, but do gods? And if so, maybe that's why their knowledge makes or doesn't feel right, and we have to change ourselves to follow them.
Exactly. Um, gosh dang it. I'm moving my window because I saw a funny comment from uh Kate. It looks like some of our brothers who died horribly on the wrong side of the war in Flea would be very proud of you. Hell yeah. Um, but yeah, I'll Andy. Why don't you pass it on, pass the feelings on to someone.
I'll pass it on to my right hand man, Nicodemus.
I think Nicodemus is feeling like he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. Um, he's seen that it's gotten bad, but he's doing okay. He thinks he did a great job helping to kill that one knight. He saw Redmond step up, take command, and realize that maybe that's how he's supposed to serve the general. He might not be a great fighter, but he looks like he might be a good leader. Um, so naturally, he's just gonna fall in, and if his commander tells him to kill a guy that could be an enemy, he's gonna kill him and not feel bad about it. So I think there's not a whole lot of feeling, but it's not from him trying to cover it up or suppress it. I think he's just it's a bad day at the office, but still a day at the office.
Mm. He's a sick bastard.
Yep. Do I need to pass it on?
Yes, yes, indeed.
Okay, let's go to Gus.
Thanks, Jacob. And yeah, like outside of character, Nicodemus did do a great job in that fight because we would have been completely, like, absolutely screwed without that, whatever that ability that just kept ascending our dice was. I can't remember what it was called, but that like saved our
One of
assets
them
big
was
time.
from me.
Oh, sorry, one was from Andy as well, but a bunch of them were from Nicodemus. Uh, and then for Gus, I think it's just the weight of all of this sort of is all coming down at once. The death of Noel, the sort of seems like falling apart of our, for lack of a better term, legion, like the specific group that we are in, and then just in particularly in this moment, just trying to be there for Ismarie and the tough time of finding out about her best friend dying. I think that's where Gus is at right now. And then, whoa, why is that person screaming behind me?
Hell yeah. And lastest, freaking talker.
I know I'm kind of hyper right now. I don't know how that energy is going to
You
translate into
came in, yeah,
game,
you came in
but
with a little spice today.
um, it's because I made Kate cry like two, three times last night in our game, so I'm like riding that high still. I feel good. I feel good. Um, all right. I have to beat Ismarie, who's depressed. I can't be hyper. Um, I just read the Twitch chat. Um, and I think for Ismarie, maybe feels like his entire reason for living is just like not here anymore. Um, and unfortunately, the thing that is keeping him moving, um, is kind of a ghost. It's a promise he made. Um, and kind of like I said last time, Gus's words, um, were kind of like perfect in that moment because otherwise I'm not sure it would have reached him. Um, but they did. I think his mental state is unstable, is the word I will use. Um, because I don't think it's like unstable in one particular way. I think it's unstable, and that Gus can look at him and make him cry, and they can have a good moment. I think it's unstable also in that Redmond or Nicodemus could say something that makes him suddenly lash out with murderous intent. I don't know. We're just unstable.
Actively experiencing the grief of Noel's death. Did we assign a grief last session? Did I talk about that? Wonderful. So grief, mechanically speaking, in Legacy and Saga, is when a character has something bad happen to them that's going to stick with them. Trauma. So I think, and the intention of this is for it to be like another little tool in our role playing toolbox, that over time, um, like there will be parallel circumstances in which you'll experience something similar, and then your character will have a mechanical disadvantage because of that. So it's one thing, like where I'm going for right now has to be different than just my friend died. It's like, what were the circumstances with this death in particular that have affected Ismarie? Was it the fact that it happened when he wasn't by Noel's side? Was it the fact that it happened in this crazy, devil stuff that's like so larger than life? What do you think is like the specific wound that Ismarie has from that?
I think it is largely that like he just wasn't there.
Mhm.
There's always that like kind of naive and unfair, like perhaps if I had been present, it would have gone differently. I literally joined up on the merit of keeping Noel safe because this is what he wanted to do, and I couldn't even manage that. So I think it is very particularly about being absent um, for him in that moment.
Um, Wonderful. So then we'll pick up, with the idea. Sorry, I should explain more mechanic. We talked about edge dice. I mentioned them last session because some people had to use them.
I don't know very much about them.
Yes. So the exchange for having these permanent effects like grief and injury comes with a special little pool of dice called edge dice. And edge dice are something that scales with the total tier of the character. So starting at a D4, at tier 5, they're a D12. At tier 6, where you're at, they're a D14. So at that point, we break our dice into like a D8 and a D6, or however you want to do it. And that is a dice that can be added to freaking anything. If you get hit by something and you can be like, oh, I want to roll my edge dice to increase my protection so that I actually don't get hit, or my resistance is this much, and if I roll an edge dice, I might be able to like not take any damage from this, or like like wherever, whenever. It's the most flexible mechanic we have at our disposal. So you can lock down at least one edge dice, and if you think of Ismarie's carrying around other traumas and stuff, we can like negotiate more later. But at the very least, one that's very fresh. So picking up in the moment, in the middle of this like street, the place you are in is partially battlefield, but is a place seemingly that people were living, that was under attack, that also you attacked because the enemy that you had was attacking it. And now maybe also the people who are here, also your enemy, unclear. but Nicodemus just killed one of those guys. Um, Ismari in this moment still like in the devastation of uh um losing his friend. I think the way I imagine this, so if we have Ismari's perspective, if he could see through Gus, Gus being right in front of him, if he could see through Gus, he would see like Nicodemus and Redmond. And then in the side of his vision, you would have not been looking at, but seen this like Sovietic looking soldier come up, have seemingly no association with lies, kind of point sword, try to sidestep around, and then just get shot with an arrow, just dead center and drop. I don't know if Ismarie would be consciously processing. Um, and Tucker, you can help give the direction here of how this plays out. It's because it really be your choice as a player. If Ismarie starts looking at that and calls attention to it, then Gus would turn around and see it, and there'd be a bit of a scene there, but maybe between Nicodemus, Redmond, Gus, and kind of Ismarie. But if Ismarie like doesn't even process it enough to look at it, then it's very possible that Redmond and Nicodemus will move on before Gus puts together what just happened.
I think that it is not something, it is something that he processes, but not to the full extent. It is, he sees it, and but in like the kind of like we're at war right now, we're in a battle. It doesn't immediately click to him like who he was looking at that got shot, given the everything that was trying to kill them. I think it is something that over time, and perhaps through some actions from some people here, it will start to like sink in a little bit more what has really occurred there. But I do think kind of in that moment, it does sort of like pull him back to like, we are not safe. And I do think like there is like a kind of a pull away from Gus and like a we should move.
I kind of imagine like Ismarie's eyes kind of looking over to the person when they're standing, and then when he gets shot with the arrow, there's kind of like a bit of a jump that starts. Does Ismarie, like when you say as Tugger we should move, does Ismarie say anything, or does he just kind of like stand and move?
I think it's he there is like he stands and it is just like kind of a more like not subtle but more of a gesture to Gus. What has just occurred has again been a reminder of we're not safe. And I think in the moment it feels like, and the idea of him realizing it later is because right now it feels like because of whoever that guy was, but in reality, I think it's more that he doesn't feel safe because of Redmond and Nicodemus. He just doesn't know it yet.
Before picking up on Gus, then, so at the same time, Redmond has just had Nicodemus shoot that guy. There's something I want to dive in with Nicodemus, which is just how like cold and efficient he can be. Like there's last session this high stakes tense battle in which like Gus and Redmond are putting their lives on the line. Ismary's breaking down, and Nicodemus is like crit, crit, crit. Um, and like obviously it's a narrative choice to just allow you to murder a guy. Mechanically might be slightly different, but um the moment that Redmond needed something from you, raised your bow, and just like you were practicing on those skulls and hitting exactly on target, hitting this person dead center in the chest in a way that their heart will immediately stop and die moments later. Um, you mentioned like just another a slightly bad day at the office. Is there anything else you want to pull like from that moment for Nicodemus, and then also extending into like Nicodemus and Redmond and how they move forward from this moment?
Yeah, I think after it happens, Nicodemus, I walk over to the body to pull the arrow out, see if it can be reused. And then while I'm doing it, I look and see that like there's no crystal coming out of this person, and their armor is pretty similar to the Soviet forces we came here with. Um, and I think that crosses their minds, like what's going on? Like what's I've been told to come here, kill devils of lies, their forces, but like this doesn't feel like this guy doesn't seem like that as far as he's aware, and he doesn't know much because I mean he's just a foot soldier. Um, but I think he calls Redmond over. Commander,
I think Redmond is all but limping. He is battered, bruised. His shield is broken in his arms. Pieces of armor are gone. He uh, doesn't seem to react to the cut on his like one of his legs or something. Uh, Probably because there's too much pain to focus on one at a time. And he stumbles over to you, putting his sword in its sheath. But
uh, I put my foot on this guy's chest and pull the arrow out. Still not much regard for this person. Is he? He's not one of the Dark Imperium, is he? They wear all black armor, and he doesn't look like he belongs to the. There's no crystal coming
I
out of
did
him.
not I did not know. Better safe than sorry.
Is
Lies
there?
could hide anywhere.
I mean, that's true. I just wanted to make sure there wasn't something that didn't make its way down to us about another force
But
being involved.
I was not told. But Commander, she did not get to tell me anything of the sort.
Okay, so going forward, anyone not Legion, not Dark Imperium,
Anyone
combat.
not with Legion or not Legion. Anyone who is not Legion and is alone, if they are armed, they die. But right now, I, I think he's going to look around and what is left of the command that he took over?
Um, so so
Just
I'll get
three.
to that in a second. Um, so as that's happening, so at this, Ismarie and has stood up, and begins to gesture to move with Gus. Gus, you can turn around and see kind of Redmond walking over, as Nicodemus like pulls this arrow out of the sky, and like you also would recognize not Dark Imperium. But if you want to start engaging in the scene as well, with Ismarie and the other two.
Yeah, I think having catch this, I'll approach Nicodemus and Redmond. Um, right, what happened here then?
He was shot with an arrow.
He came out of the alley, drew a sword. Redmond gave the order.
I look around, um, and
We must continue.
but why'd you kill him? Clearly, not much of a threat.
He had
Alone,
the weapon. He was pointing at us, and he was speaking in a language we did not understand. We came with our allies.
right? And you don't have two people beside you who can understand language with magic.
Or are you done crying over the losses while everyone around you dies? We must continue. We have a job to do. I think Redmond will stand up taller than before, uh, grabbing some sort of strength that I think it's literally just ego or defiance of being told what to do now that he's in charge for to a degree. He'll try to like start walking away.
As you walk away. I thought you were the fucking smart one. And if
And I
this
thought you
person
were
had
the dumb one.
friends, this person had friends, you've made an enemy for no reason.
They're probably dead too.
Let's hope so.
And you will be if you keep worrying about your feelings. Let's continue and do our job, Gus.
Keep pretending like you don't have any.
Um,
He'll turn back around and start to walk if nothing's said.
I think can reminder, what was like our original commander's name? Above Redmond, she died.
Larice?
Larice. Okay, sorry. I just needed to remember that. You know, for smart ass comments to make in the future. Except for now it's not just being a smart ass. Now there's like a little bit of malice in there. Um, I think that the like Gus kind of just feels like Ismary's hand like kind of on his arm of like usually Ismary would have the energy to like push this conflict with Redmond further, but he's just so emotionally and physically exhausted um that there's no words. He just kind of wants it to stop. There's almost like a thank God Redmond like turned around.
Yeah, and at that hint, I turn the other direction as well, just to create a bit of space.
Does so mechanically, um, hit points are very important to manage for mostly like maintaining injury reasons. If you take an injury while you have 0 hit points, you immediately take a permanent injury. And then also when you've hit 0 hit points, your dice are descended for the day, and that does stack if you're bouncing up and down between hit points a lot, within reason. Ismary's a healer. Does he have specifically restoration?
I had hold on, I'm opening my Saga thing. I had left a couple lines open to be honest, just because I was like, oh, I am so unfamiliar with healing as a concept here. And I think that I was like, oh, I think Ismary would have it. I just have no idea what that looks like. Um, I think I picked out a couple that I was interested in, but had not really nailed anything down yet. Let me look at what is up on this sheet real quick. Um, I did what restoration was one of the ones that I um was interested in and like potentially wanted to take as I sort of learned more.
Restoration would be particularly helpful because so of the 3 kinds of healing magic, there's mind stuff, there's body stuff, and body stuff is injuries, mind stuff is grief.
I decided to keep away from the mind stuff because I was kind of playing with the idea that as much as Ismary does kind of push back against a lot of Legion stuff, there are ways that it has subconsciously leaked into his worldview. And I think that like things with the mind is like it's kind of like you'll be fine. There's not I shouldn't have to do that for you.
Yeah, depression isn't real.
Anxiety. What are you talking about?
So restoration then would be and this is also a character choice in this moment, but restoration in this moment would be very helpful for Gus. also maybe Redmond to like get them a number of hit points back so that they aren't smoked immediately. But that's
I
up to.
also have restoration, just one level of it, but
Mm. But yeah, that's up to Tucker if Ismarie is of a mind to like at least heal up his friend, or if he's just like too. Yeah, because again, you're actively grieving your very recently dead friend. It could just be not even of your mind to be any
I
form
think
of.
for Gus, he thinks about it.
Okay.
Just like looking at Gus having been close to him as well, like physically, it would appear. Just to make sure. Sorry, I'm gonna take up a little bit of a second out of our
Mhm.
the conversation to make sure. So it says like out of the archetype we take, we choose 6 lines,
Uh-huh.
right? Um, that is the specific like there's things uh like
So
the like healer or destroyer or whatever, and then the lines are the ones within it. Like restoration is a line, right?
precisely.
Okay. And then each level of it, is that a is that um
Yeah,
like is that just another line more or
yeah.
less?
Each tier, which you have 4 tiers, each tier you take 6 lines. Um and then uh for the most part it's presumed that like
Each
each
tier I
each
take 6 lines?
yes, but then it's like um you take restoration 2 and whatever 2 and then 3 and then 4. So it's kind of like you pick the same 6 each time. Um
Oh. Oh, okay. So I should have quite a bit available to me.
um
Or at least more than I think I currently have here. I was
Yeah, because there's 9 total options to choose from, and then 5 tiers of each of those options. But also right now, Legacy and Saga, it's not the cleanest um uh what's the word, delineation when you start saying like, oh, maybe I want 2 tiers of restoration, and 2 tiers of this other thing. If you're 4 tiers total, is kind of like the there's not a logic that makes that a as meaningful choice currently as a game is in
Mhm.
development. So kind of presume that whichever 6 you're interested in, you've chosen all the way up to 4, for sake
Okay.
of ease.
I think that I just took oh, what was it? Sorry. I'm looking at the archetypes because I know that I didn't know. I was like, oh, okay, this is my first time playing as a spellcaster, so maybe I'll take a little bit. So priest gets destroyer, oracle, and healer.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, well, maybe we'll like dip in a little bit to these. But if you think it makes more sense for me to like not take any oracle at all, then
It's
I'll
whatever
swing that way.
whatever vibes with the character. I think as you play through, like you don't have to make those decisions now. If you have
Okay.
3 or 4 or 5 that you're like, these feel right, then absolutely. Um, but yeah, the only important thing being that you do have restoration now.
Yes.
Restoration is one of the easiest, well, at least to heal a single person is one of the easiest things to do, which is just you roll your frickin' dice. You have to roll above a 12, and then whatever the 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 collective of the dice is, like sans d20, is how much you heal the person.
Okay. Um, so um roll a d20 and then
Choose how many d10s you want to add in
I
before.
have 16 left. Right, because 6 and below is like washed and 6 and above is reabsorbed, correct? Or is it the
Five
other
five and below is
5 and
lost.
below?
6 and above
Oh,
is,
okay. I
yeah.
was
It's
probably
it's half.
being more brutal to myself than I needed to be. Um, no, okay. Um, and then um, as Gus looks like do I have like a vague idea based on like looking at Gus like how bad this is?
I think he guesses at 0, right?
No, I'm at 16.
Oh, 16?
Of
Okay.
16 of 60, I
Okay.
think.
So still decently gassed, but also Ismarie can only roll a certain number of dice, which I'll double check before it starts to get dangerous for you, if that helps with decisions.
Yes, actually, that would be great.
But then Redmond would look like more fucked up than
yeah, well, Ismarie doesn't care about that guy. Ismarie can only roll up to 7 dice before you start getting into like, I'm doing so much magic, my hands are gonna explode.
Oh, okay. We'll do. We'll do 4.
Yeah.
10, 4, 6. So I roll a 17 on the d20,
Mm-hmm.
and then 7, 10, 4, and 6 on my d10s.
7, 10, 17, 4, 21, 6, 27. So it's 27 hit points to Gus. Yeah, I'll just for the sake of having it here. So yeah, there's two components to, or there's 3 components, but 2 I'll explain for like when we roll a spell that are important. There's the number that we're trying to hit, which in this case was just 12 to get the spell through. But then in some cases, if you're targeting a spell offensively against something, they also have the ability to like resist a contest. The same idea as like a saving throw. And that has to meet the total number of your dice. So in the case of like healing, no one's ever going to contest. Well, you could contest actually. But for the most part, that's not going to be a problem. So you're like rolling way over. And then the dice sans d20 are like the transfer of the effect, the hit points affected positively or negatively, or other conditions maybe. But yeah, so 27 hit points to Gus as Redmond is walking away. What do you think that looks like for Ismarie?
Like the casting?
Yeah.
Mm. I think I think that a big part of it, and part of the reason he doesn't even think to attend to Redmond is, as I said before, his magic was always sort of about the extent to which it could be used in order to support Noel. And so more than it reflects himself, his magic reflects him. And the way that he like ultimately felt about Noel. And I think that is the kind of the only reason that in this moment Gus is the person to receive it. With that hand on Gus that he had almost like used to. It's not. I'm trying to speak. No. 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 With like the hand that he had used to kind of like dissuade Gus from continuing this little argument on with Redmond. It, I think that the magic just sort of like flows through him, and it's that same sort of like warmth, like a patch of sun on your skin. And I think that like in having to sort of like channel those feelings for a moment, like a kind of like just like a silent tear falls down his face. I think for him in that moment, there's a little bit of a fear of the inevitable, that any conjuring of that forward will also kind of be in grief. his magic might not look like this or feel like this for much longer,
Something
depending.
also should have done, we won't, because it already happened. But because grief, dice would have been descended.
Mm,
But that's something I forgot to keep track of. But yeah, so
silly goose.
a little patch of sun on Gus's arm. Redmond
I
and
think,
so go ahead.
sorry, yeah, as that happens, uh, just kind of put my hand on Ismarie's shoulder and then just kind of like playfully punch it, like just sort of like a buck up sort of gesture, and then I just say, "God damn it, oi!" And I turn back around and I grab Redmond by the arm, probably pretty forcefully. And Andy, you gain 16 hit points as I heal you with I think it's just called heal. So yes.
I think Redmond stumbles very hard when you pull him and probably drops the broken shield and tries to pull out his sword before he realizes what's happening. And even when he realizes what's happening, he's slow to stop himself, but he's just slow in everything. And
I don't
then,
know.
sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I don't know if the Legacy and Saga gods want Redmond to live, but that was 4d4s and I rolled 4 4s.
I
So
was
16
like,
health.
I don't know what I was like. I guess like John must be working with like d6s or d8s because like that's like that's pretty unexpected. Yeah, maybe they do want Redmond to live.
Well, I'm thinking he might just pass out. Man's exhausted. But I think you see like a momentary flash of gratitude that is cut off, and you can kind of see that it's cut off. And then I think he nods and then starts to head towards where he can find out what he's supposed to do next, because he does not know what to do with this command.
I
There's
think he
like
just
four
holds
people
on
left.
to he holds on to you for like that extra second just to show like a little bit of power over you, like just in that 1 second, and then lets you go.
I think in that 1 second when Redmond realizes you're still holding him, probably any indication of feeling is left from his eyes. And I think you're met with the Redmond that yelled at you earlier in the day after Noel's death.
Hell yeah. Yeah, like we said last session because of the luck rolled that like about half the forces over this battle of that Redmond is in command of would be wiped out. I think at this point it kind of devolved into a melee, and so Redmond can go around and begin to like gather up, like 2/3 of what's currently left, and kind of soldier on and say like, okay, like what's happening next?
Okay.
I,
So if I think I would command or try to command these people with me to assist in that as I look around, instruct Gus to go find to get all of the heavies back, Nicodemus to get all of the archers, and Ismarie to get all the mages as we need to consolidate to try to survive.
but yeah, the you do so, and the forces are gathered. There are no more creatures of lies at Alessian, but the battle is not over. The Dark Imperium's secondary goal was to eliminate their competition in this location. And as the Legion, as you like see Dark Imperium fighting, you see them fighting other Soviet soldiers. And like one of the handlers or some Soviet person who speaks a little bit of Filian will see kind of Redmond like leading a force and like direct you to a point that they need, that they could use some assistance. But even now, I would say like they have this pretty handled. Also say a slight like thing for Redmond, which is that there was a significant part of the war in which you're mostly fighting other normal people,
Mhm.
right? So who are under delusions of lies. So I don't think it's been clearly communicated to you at this point that it's like, hey, the Sovietic people are definitely doing like trying to get one over for themselves. If you want to use that to like make the Fleans kill the Sovietics.
I I don't know if Redmond would know it at all. I think he was very peripheral in any command before this. I think he maybe was near the last commander a bit, and that was near obviously now. It wasn't long. I think he is this person, Fleeing person wearing anything, not Fleeing, Semitic person wearing anything to notate that they're in charge of us, or we should be listening to the guides or something like that.
Uh, Generally, they look like a some kind of commander position on the battlefield, like a title would be Leggy or Leggy Taurus or something. But I don't think Redmond knows intimately the command structure of the Dark Imperium. You see someone who you
Mhm.
recognize it different from every other soldier, um, giving you
But on the side that we were working with,
yeah.
and seems to be in command. I think Redmond uh, honestly just listens then, because it sounds like it's all right in his command structure, in his brain, uh, with zero buffers.
Mm. Yeah. Uh, uh, so you do so, and send your soldiers to help finish the fight here. Um, I think it's very clear to the other three of you, like what's more or less what's happening. Like structure of lies is gone. The obelisks in the sky are down. Um, uh, you know clearly that you're killing people who could be talked to, right? That was a big thing in
Mhm.
Flia, especially. Um, uh, Two questions of how you feel about that, and then if you even bother fighting at this point, because it's like the your Redmond's little legion here is not going to be the decision maker here in any way. It'll just help things go slightly quicker.
I have thoughts immediately. But also I'm gonna also join on my phone. I'm just really, really struggling with some of my chronic hip pain right now, and like last night too, I don't remembers. And sitting for long periods of time can just be difficult. It just helps to like pace around,
Okay.
and it's easier to hear. Um, just so I can be vertical and also playing.
Yes, indeed. Um, I've admitted you, and I'll help. Oh wait, no, I have to do the thing. Or no, you'll have to change your name. Um,
It's
uh,
okay.
Managing stream stuff. Um, okay, while you're doing that,
Everyone
I
knows
do
your
have
name now.
thoughts.
okay, then do thoughts.
Um, so I think that what we're going to see first of all is Marie clinging to Gus pretty hard. Not necessarily like always with him physically, but this he's I think I mean I think even maybe Gus recognizes this. This is like a very young man, you know. He's like maybe hit based on like timeline, maybe hit 20 years old, 21. Um this is not necessarily what he wanted to do with his life, and the thing that was giving him direction is now gone. Um and I think that very much so we're going to see some of those habits that he built with Noel begin to build with Gus a little bit in deferring to how Gus wants to handle things and how Gus wants to do things, because that's what he did with Noel. We're going to just see that over again here. I think he definitely doesn't like what's going on. Um, but again, he made a promise to Noel. He feels as though he must live to remember, and he feels like his best shot at that is with Gus, so he's going to defer to him.
Yeah, I think I can take that extension to and I think he's more than willing to sort of partner up. I think that's a comfortable spot for him as well at this moment. And I don't really see doing too much in this fight. Like it just doesn't seem right to him if it's clearly just these people taking advantage of a situation. I don't think Gus is really partaking in this. Maybe just trying to help help people up off that are hurt, like, from the Legion side. But I don't see him actively fighting because I don't think he also really recognizes Redmond as a commander right now. That
Thing.
It's very possible that you don't even know that Larice is fucking down yet.
yeah, like, and I think we're still technically the same rank or whatever. I don't know that there was anything established that Redmond is
I
the higher
I
rank
feel
than any
like
of us.
I feel like if there was a rank, you would be higher, but I was maybe on the officer side of the rank scale, so technically, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's weird.
I don't feel like he's taking it super serious at this stage. Uh, so yeah, I don't. That's the final thought.
Nicodemus.
Yeah, I think I would join the fight. But first I would ask Redmond, Commander, I will join the fight if you need me to, but it looks like you're injured. You need a personal guard. We can't go losing more commanders.
If I can stand, I can fight, and we do not retreat. We do what we are told. That's our job.
Yes, sir. And then I go off with the rest of the archers and continue the fight.
I think Redmond takes a little break and then goes, continues. But he took it after Nicodemus looked away.
There's something I think as a Fleean formerly occupied by Savednum, that's satisfying about watching Imperials die at your hand. I think there's something that just feels a little bit right. Logically, it's like you've been through the experience of, the best way to defeat lies is let's all come together and join the same side. It's lies and everyone else, especially considering that Sovietic people should more or less all worship the same god. But it all feels good to have the excuse. Especially with the way that the Imperials kind of hold their head over you. In like the Dark Imperium back in outside of the Dark Spire. That like overconfidence and looking down and maybe we're not thinking about it as Filians, but there's reason to in terms of power, right? Like it's that confidence is not unfounded. Any Sovietic soldier, like 19 out of 20 times beats any Filian soldier. But there's just that satisfaction of being able to get a couple for yourself. Gus, as you are,
John had to step away for a second.
Dang it. Well, then we'll do the same thing, but slightly different ordered. David, you are here. In this moment, you fought through the fight to the point that lies had been defeated. And then watched the Dark Imperium follow through and start killing a faction called Medina's Hand. So Medina is just one of the many people who plans to put herself on the imperial throne. Is one of the kinder people about it. You would never have met her, but her faction has a reputation. they're like integrated into De Diumni with like the more of like the local non-imperial factions. So even like where you lived in the mountains would have contact, but like would have been a thing of like if we needed someone, if we ever needed to call for help, these would have been the people that we tried, not the Dark Imperium. So I think you've come to a point in the fight where you've reached the end of what you need to do, and are now just watching your people go at each other. First of all, what does Aki look like? Describe the character, and then kind of like what she is feeling in this moment, and then we'll build that into a scene with Gus and maybe Ismarie.
Yeah, Aki is a female Sovietic soldier who is equipped in Philian armor now and has just a clean tied back hair and has a classic short sword. And if I heard it correct, this Philian Legion is fighting Marina's hand.
Well, it's the Dark Imperium is the bulk of the
Human.
force, but the Legion has came up and been directed to join the fight and are doing so as well. But it's like the machinations of the Dark Imperium.
Mm-hmm. Conflicted and probably familiar with this sort of deception.
Hell yeah. Gus, as you were like trying not to kill anyone in this fight, helping injured where you can. There's honestly like it's so the fight is being lost so quickly by this other faction, this other group of people that there's barely anything to do. I think that's when you spot the only other person on the field that at least you can see that's not fighting. It's kind of like standing like watching in disappointment and horror. You're someone you also recognize from the most haunting day of your life. Maybe like first catch her 50 or so feet away. And Ismarie kind of attached to you more or less. What is Gus gonna do about it?
And yeah, sorry. So you said, David, Philian armor for Aki. So it doesn't match the people that are being fought right now.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Just wanted to clear that up. I think. And sorry, you said it's about 50 feet.
Yeah, more or less.
I think I just sort of nudge Ismarie to sort of come with me, and I'm just going to approach Aki, right?
That is correct. And who are you? Oh,
We
have we met before?
yeah, not for long, but the eyes sort of flash in Gus's head as he's thinking about this again. We I was there at the in the Orcos domain. I think you were as well.
That's right. I think I remember you. You were there on the siege.
You
What?
were very hard to kill, as I recall.
You as well, if you still walk and breathe. What force do you join today?
Well, when we got here, we were told we were here to fight lies, but I don't think that's what these Imperium had in mind. What about you?
I fight for the side that will reclaim my home. And perhaps I was too hasty to believe the Filians could repeat what they did before.
It's bad here.
It is.
I hate the way it feels. It's always been this way.
As long as I could remember. The enemies here are the same. But the conditions are worse.
Do you think we have any chance?
Perhaps. But the Svedek are not the only ones that will need to change, if that is the case.
How do you mean?
If your legion believes Svedium, Dediumi will be changed through conquest, you are wrong. These factions have been conquesting each other for generations. It is not the sides that win. It is the conflict that weakens us. Do you understand?
I do. But it won't be so easy to convince the other side, I fear.
It will not.
Will you? Could you help? There's some leaders we could talk to, and maybe you could convince them. But I'll need. We need your help.
I will make no promise, but I will do what I can. And at this point, I believe communication is most needed. Is your leader still alive?
I haven't seen her since the fight. I'm not sure what's left. We've still been searching, but it doesn't look good. Are you alone?
I have a small group of people, similarly aligned. In honesty, Gus, I was expecting you to be one of them, not mixed with this legion.
I wanted to go. At home, I have a daughter. I tried to be a dad, but it didn't really fit. And then I just kind of couldn't deal with the aftermath of seeing that evil. But I'm here now.
Perhaps you have found your purpose. Not many are that lucky.
I hope so.
As this conversation's happening, I think I just want to like highlight images or feelings of this this battle. I think it's what I see almost rendered in like slow motion is the soldiers of Medina's hand like on the back foot, like physically sometimes falling back as other soldiers, other people with clear minds pushing against them, like going to stab into them. I think we see one particular like Filian like Legion member as a member of Medina's hand falls, just see like the eyes change of it from being a fight, like an even fight, to like a slaughter. And as the sword kind of changes in hand from facing up to down and raising up, and then like we just see the slow kind of plunge down, not like actually like happens slow, but slow motion. We see like as some of Medina's hand already turning and running to try to just escape and get word out and whatnot. Arrows hitting kind of in the back, first shoulder and then leg, and then dead center in the back as the person just falls and slams into the ground and slides. It's this thing of like excessiveness. The Dark Imperium was already in a position where they could have saved the day and then taken all these people prisoner. The numbers were more or less there, you know? And it's just the relentlessness of this arm of the like fractured imperial machine that at no point is sight lost on the ultimate goal for them, which is at all times the wrong thing to be focusing on. I think you see as well in the Filians, in the first part of this fight, being torn apart by creatures of lies, now faced with an enemy that you can contend with, is a relief. It makes you feel powerful again. Redmond doesn't lose another half of his contingent, if any at all. And that there's a small clinging of agency to be found in there. You know, for Nicodemus, not that I think he shares the same insecurities, but fighting a knight of the Abetic Imperium, the knights twisted from the magic of lies, in their like green armor and their terrible crystal affliction, can shoot them dead center in the chest 3 times right in the heart, and they still might not go down. And that does something to your brain briefly until you're shooting at mortal enemies again, purely mortal enemies again. And they're dying like they're supposed to. The world is set right once more. But I also imagine in like Ismarie and Gus's perspective, as this is happening in the periphery, and maybe even Ismarie, as Gus is talking to this person that he knows, I think for someone like Gus and Ismarie, this highlights the vulnerability of mortality, right? This doesn't make you feel better or powerful. Actually, this is bad. We could use those guys. There's a moment specifically for Ismarie when you stood at the Cloud Tower, opposite of Gus and Redmond. Not that you had known at the time. You're in a completely different place, but 20,000 some Filian Legion members descended upon the Cloud Tower to take it, and instead they were turned and fought with you. And it's fucked to experience the other side of that. In being, no one's being properly deceived here, except for maybe the Fleans a little bit. There's been a slight trick or a lack of information communicated. But just seeing the power takes precedent over the country. And contrasting in all of that, in that frame of mortality, I think it's also clear, so Aki mechanically is at least tier 10. Aki is stronger than the rest of you. Aki is a hero. We haven't detailed out potential higher powers, but like David or Aki could even have higher power. She's like above all of you, and I think that is even communicated in posture, right? Like this person's standing alone and standing bravely and strongly and solemnly and disappointed in what's going on and knowledgeable of what's going on, and there's also kind of grounding there. And it's also a reflection, a contrast of like Ismarie's not that, Noel wasn't that, Redmond isn't that, Nicodemus isn't that, and even Gus, who once fought alongside this person, also isn't that. Is there anything else anyone wants to characterize as that battle comes to a close? How these characters feel or how well they do in the particular things. Andy, go ahead.
I think Redmond slowly melds into the idea of like this role is his. And I think he is the only stress now he has is the worry if it's going to be taken away from him as soon as everything is settled. And I think realistically he's too tired to realize that Gus and Ismarie are not there.
Yeah. There's
too tired to make
150
a problem
people
of it
to
now,
look at.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's why that he is not interrupting them at all or notices this exchange. I do think he probably has Nicodemus next to him. And he could probably tell that Redmond is feeling more confident in this, especially during this battle. As this is again something I've seen people fight before. I understand how people fight. I did not understand how those other things fought.
I think listening to that conversation, Ismarie has always existed with at least a surface level of cynicism about most things. And I think that the only person who really saw past that in a large capacity was Noel. And I think Gus's just capacity for empathy has placed him in a position to where at the very least it doesn't cause any strife between them. But I think listening to that conversation almost worsens that feeling. and the part of him that made that promise to Noelle is sort of like fighting with this other side of him that is like, you know, I'm gonna die here and it's not gonna matter at all. And not even just like, oh, my death means nothing to anybody. And a like in now like a grander scheme of it all with like the things that Aki was saying about, their home and Noel came because he wanted to help people. And I think that there was a part of him that takes like a weird comfort in Noel dying before he could really truly understand what was happening here. Yeah, that's it.
Hell yeah.
I think Nicodemus, this fighting these forces that are just other Sovitic forces, I think it feels good, one, just to have this bit of power, but two, it's like this long held justice finally being served. Like these people invaded and oppressed Philia for ages, and I'm here, like, I mean, it's revenge, but in Nicodemus's mind, it's like, oh, this is justice. Like this is they're getting what they deserve after what they did to us. So I think it's, and the moment he doesn't care that, oh, this is kind of a weird deal, like we were kind of manipulated. It's like, oh, this is, I'm doing this for the general. I'm doing this for my people, and have no real qualms with it.
I think I have some qualms.
I have some qualms.
But no, it's mostly just, I think especially after that framing from Aki, it's just we don't learn anything and we're just making the same mistakes that we made in Philia. Like we're just being used as a tool to further Lie's agenda. It seems like a little bit helping with this specific conflict, at least, maybe not overall, but like it just feels like that is sort of what's happening at this stage. So I think he's just sort of grappling with that at this moment.
And for Aki.
I think Aki's talk with Gus kind of says it all. Her current mindset.
Wonderful. Very soon, or probably even over the course of Gus and Aki's conversation, the battle probably ends more or less. Like there's stragglers and people running at this point, trying to escape the city. But it's like it's victory, a hard-won victory for the Philians at least. And I think the release of the tension to now like pick over the battlefield. Maybe I want to put Ismarie going back and getting to Noel's body, but maybe first, Redmond. What do I want to do with you? I think feeling of victory. Despite everything and despite Redmond's flaws, you did lead your people through, right? There was not actually a lot that you could have done differently that would have saved lives. Not that Redmond knows that. Redmond's probably not thinking about that either. But Redmond was a acceptable commander, and stepped up to the task. At the point that the enemy gets desperate and is trying to flee, and honestly, like maybe even part of the battle was like just people holding line to let others escape. as you walk amongst the like this town, city, this place, you don't even know where you are. Maybe you've heard the name Alessian. But seeing just like enemies defeated, lies and otherwise. What do you think is like going through Redmond's mind?
I think he's rationalizing what he's done and what he is listening to. I think he is I think honestly his mindset is a path of destruction for his religious views, but I don't think he's ever going to reach the pinnacle. And I think the pinnacle is when the idea of like, hey, we're following these rules, and if we're following these rules, I have to listen to the person above me, right? And technically, if he keeps going up at one point, he's the top, right? And I think that would obviously destroy his faith. But I think he's never going to obviously get near that. And I think a lot of it is centered around like the bad stuff is now. And I think he's rationalizing and making reasons for what the leaders say. Without knowing it, I think he's consoling his feelings in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, he's
I think
talking them down.
Without knowing it, definitely not.
Yeah. You will see. So, like at this point in the battle, battle over, mostly everyone is like Nicodemus is picking up arrows and finding material. Gus is probably doing something more sentimental with Ismarie. Redmond, I think you're in view because you don't you're at the point where you're just telling people what to do. Like regathering the rest of your forces that were lost, getting people who were injured, and seeing what can be scrambled together for yourself. You see a handful of things in the sky. You see just like a pale bluish green color, more green than blue, but not like of a green of lies. A green that you saw in Aravo when the children of the moon arrived to help. You see coming to view on Dragonback these silver civilians, very fast and not looking to be in a good mood, will land amongst Alessian, and whichever one is in front, you see a fairly like Gith, legally distinct children of the moon civilians, are very like wiry, right? Like muscular for them looks very, very different than muscular for a human or muscular for an orc. So all that to say, on this frame, you can still tell muscular. And you see that finds whoever is dressed in the highest ranking armor and starts to like cuss them out, or seeming to cuss them out. You don't speak the language, but like beelines toward them, cusses them out. You see some of the like Sovietic soldiers will turn, and kind of like hands on weapon. You see Gith will draw, and grab the like leader by like breastplate and like push up against a wall or something, and won't like point sword at, but has it out and is like shouting them down. You have no context in this moment. If you want to do anything with that, you can, or like of Redmond's perception here.
I think if there are mages around, he'll instruct one to cast tongues on that man.
Probably better tongues, languages on you.
He's like yelling at a bunch of people, not just me,
Well, if you
right?
have the language I cast on you, you hear everything.
I would be between, yeah.
And then someone wouldn't need to be like, "Hey, excuse me, I'm going to do a spell on you."
Fair, yeah.
He's this Gith is shouting down the highest leggy here, basically saying like, it was not your place to turn the Fleans against your own people, you fucking idiot. The Fleeans are here for a reason. They came on our accord. There are things that they can do here. This was not one of them. And is just tearing this guy to shreds about it. Like, and there's even conversation, you know, because like the Gith, like they were like, we're gonna help bring you to Savednum, and didn't really update everyone on the 13 or 15 or 19 different Savetic factions all vying for the throne. They're just like, these people need some help. And you know, even this moment, this person's like, you are threatening the stability of even the Cavilians alliance with the Dark Imperium. Like, we are here to help. We're trying to defeat lies, but like at some point you can need to deal with this. Let's not do it now. Yeah.
I think honestly that kind of solves itself. I don't think Redmond would interfere then because I think he was thinking a lot of the same things of like, why did we follow this order to attack Sovietic people when we were here to stop lies? I'm trying to figure that out. Turns out it was selfish, but we follow orders anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he is like, well, this isn't my place to interfere either.
Yeah, absolutely. I think just for you to witness and experience. Processing multiple things, organizing scenes in head. I think maybe the moment I want with Nicodemus. I think like maybe there's some camaraderie building deeper with other members of the Legion here, as like Nicodemus was just absolutely hitting his mark today. Especially when you're like beside Redmond, I think Nicodemus maybe starting to build a reputation of like, oh, like this guy fucking rocks. I don't think you're there to fully, you know, it might be like 200, 150 feet away from you, that Gith thing, whenever it happens. But I think like you're receiving praise from other members of the Legion to be like, hey man, like you're killing it today, in however that would be translated in Fleean. How do you think Nicodemus, you know, again, like you're pulling arrows out of the field, you're not that maybe your armor is damaged, but you know, like people are going through like salvaging armor to replace because there's not exactly a lot of material to go around to fix things. How do you think Nicodemus is handling that?
I think his first instinct is to brush it off, just kind of keep doing his task, because I think he actively does not like the spotlight on himself. Like, he thinks of himself like he's a member of the Legion. Like, I'm nobody but a part of the Legion. But I think as people keep saying things to him, he starts. It's all thanks to the general. I listen. I keep my eyes on the battlefield, and he tells me what I need to do. Larissa fell today, and that's a great shame. Redmond stepped up. He without hesitation. He took to it, and I followed his orders, and it was all of us that got us to this point. It could have been even worse than it was, but it was the general and it was us.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I think you know, like there's that survivorship bias that's forming around the surviving members of the Legion of like, yes, we survived because we're good and we're doing things right, not because we were really lucky. especially the mages, who like some of them were inches away from death when that beam from the obelisk came and wiped them out. They're like, yes, it was quick thinking in the general that got me through, not whoever was operating the beam in the obelisk happening to aim a little off. For Gus, I kind of want to have Ismarie. I feel like there's something more interesting in Ismarie finding Noelle and then Aki interacting than Gus being there for that, even though I think it's more logical that Gus would walk Ismarie back to Noelle. And maybe even you do kind of walk him to like the area and point him out and give him space. But as you come back to the part of the battle, basically like outside or inside the front gate, where like most of the bulk of the Legion forces fell. The field is littered with bodies covered in white and gold, in numbers that I don't think there you've seen. Even at Aravo, there was a lot of attrition, right? It was like supplies and lines and these small engagements with a foe that was slightly more equal. Yeah, what do you think Gus being here, just seeing all these bodies is doing?
I think there's definitely some buyer's remorse for coming here, and at least at this stage, after seeing the stakes of one fight and how hard that was, it feels a little bit meaningless at this stage that this place is maybe too far gone. And I think that theme that we've touched on before in the past is like this requires heroes, demigods, and we're just people. And it's terrible to, see them dying this way. And yeah, I think that's where his head is at right now.
Wonderful.
But I see Andy's message in the chat. He's not going home. He's got to stick it out for now.
There is this campaign's obviously a lot shorter, so less flexibility for characters just up and leave. But
Yeah.
one of the points of Fleeon's experiencing Savednum is a challenge for me as a DM to be like, can I get these people to go home before it's over?
Right.
Can they tap out early? But not for this story in particular. Ismarie, walking back through this city to find where Ismarie fell. I think again, like Gus probably walks you to the location to Noelle fell. Ismarie Noelle. You know what I'm saying.
Ismarie's dead.
Ismarie's gone.
Bye bye.
And Noelle's alive and Tucker's playing Aki. To see where Noelle died. I think like what details do I want to pull out here? You see the sea of white and gold, and you see the sea of red and green. The red crystal, the green skin, attributed to various things of lies. You see the smoke still rising from the battlefield of where magic touched down and tore apart the ground. How hard is it for Ismarie even to just walk over to find Noelle?
I think it is incredibly difficult. I think that when he's like walking through like this field of corpses, there's like a remembering like what it was like for them to return home and the time they were able to take to bury every individual there, and knowing that not a chance in hell. um and I think he's never been like, yes, well, he's somebody who cares a lot. He's never been particularly emotional, like overly emotional about like dead legion necessarily. He knows people like Redmond, okay? He's like, oh, you don't want me to mourn your death? Cool, got it, good. But
No problem there.
um but I think that this time it feels worse because the person who would have been there to do it is not there. It feels like he has to now. I think that he is a pretty sad and pathetic sight moving through here on the walk back.
I imagine small, timid steps as you walk across the bodies, and there's a gradient, right? From one side, there's like these creatures of lies and the occasional Dark Imperium and the occasional Legion, and the more you go, the more it gets to just Legion. You step over sometimes, or have to step around mounds of bodies. You step by, red crystal shattered everywhere. You see it at one point. There is just the upper torso, head, and like arm with 2 fingers of a crystalline devil that is like still moving with like barely any life left in it. Like it's almost like a zombie at that point, in that kind of like slow, like mindless. It's not a threat, but still just like alive. The energy's there as you walk past it. And I believe Gus tried to wipe off Noel's face, right? When his head was stepped on. So eventually I think you do see Noel come into view. There's still like boot prints on his armor, and there's boot prints on a lot of people's armor. His body's still even paler than others. I think those who died from the soul fairies have this like deeper paleness to them, almost uncanny. Which maybe helps it feel less real. I'll let you take it from here as like closing the distance upon approach and what you do, how you interact with the body.
I think initially he stops altogether. I mean, despite being pretty young, his time with the Legion has gotten him to a point in which dead bodies haven't necessarily like been a point of hesitation for him. But he is hesitating now. Even just seeing like, a part of him, like as he's sort of like closing the distance. There is like again, like yeah, hesitation stop. Oh, a grimace, almost like somebody like hit him. There's like nobody there to do such a thing. Um and like a moment of just sort of like almost having to hype himself up internally to gain the strength to approach his body. He knows he has to. He's not going to leave here without doing so. I think his arms are to his side, kind of shaking a little bit. Um, I think he does that kind of like movement where you almost give them a shake yourself and kind of shake it out, trying to like expel this energy from his body. Um, before he's even able to like kind of turn his head back in the direction that he knows Noelle is in. Because sure, he knew he was dead before, but this will be definitive. And when he does kind of gather the energy and makes his way over, I think his steps almost like riding the hype a little stronger at first, and then as he gets like closer, kind of like fall back into that very like timid shuffle. And like his open, shaking hands become tight, rigid fists. And I think when he looks down on the body, I think almost kind of like opposite in the way of like Noel's head is at his feet. He's kind of upside down, to where like Ismarie, I know my own name, is standing, and he's got like his head pointed down, hair kind of like hanging in his face a little bit. Um, and that like in that instance, I think there's just kind of like a quiet horror that washes over him. I think especially because it's almost like hard for him to like pin. There is like something in the way that he died where he doesn't, he's used to seeing like a lot of like physical injuries. But like, even if he has seen like these things and how they kill and maybe like recognizes that that was a thing that killed him, there being such like an air of mystery of like what the fuck even was that and what is it even doing, and just like not having any of those answers as to what actually occurred here, what actually killed him, makes us feel so incredibly hopeless.
I think there is a feeling to add to that. Seeing the stillness of his body, an absence of a fatal injury. The thing that clicks into your brain is knowing in no uncertain terms that the stillness of this body means that this person is no longer moving forward in the world with you. That they stay here. This will be their final position in the world, even if you move them, right? Like the life ended, and you can envision yourself moving on from this point in that absence and feel that pulling you in like a gravity, like a void, like a black hole. And it's just that loneliness of that experience.
I think Ismarie will kind of like let himself fall to his knees. It kind of like one knee on like the either side of like Noel's head. I think his face like kind of twists up into a grimace. There's like tears starting, but he looks more like angry than anything else. And in this sort of like feeble, useless cry for some amount of closure, which he will never really get, you know, his hands like hesitantly kind of like find their purchase on like the sides of his head, on the sides of Noel's head. And he's like kind of looking at him. Are his eyes open or closed?
Gus had closed them.
Okay. I just want to make sure. And he says, he just says, why did you make me make that stupid promise? I don't want to keep going. I don't want to remember. I could just stay here with you. And I think his like kind of his hands like could have balled up some of Noel's hair.
There's a haunting feeling that I'll also inject here. In the uncanny nature of Noel's death and some of the other people on this battlefield, there's an underlying feeling that feels wrong. That is could not be explained clearly, but is felt in the abstract. And I think the best way to describe the feeling is like all of the other bodies can hear your words, but Noel's can't. Something about looking at this body, it's almost like part of your brain acknowledges it as like a rubber dummy. It's whatever should be there that connects to another side, if something like that exists. You've yet to see it. It's really unnerving in a way that I think is like heightening the emotion, because it increases the desperation to want these words to reach.
Yeah, I think he just like there's almost like a sense of like continuing to get almost like angry and angrier. It's not real anger, but that's how it is. Like if anybody were, looking at him, that's how it would appear. He just like keeps raising his voice, kind of grabs him, almost like in the sense of like, oh, if you were a person, I could shake this into you, but nothing that I'm saying changes any of this.
In that anger, also, I think is where Aki will have seen Ismari from your periphery, and then maybe would have like seen him talk and then heard him as he got angrier. How old is Aki?
I think after the time skip, she is like 28.
28. Yeah. So like Ismari is more or less a child to you. Because also weren't Noel and um Ismari at the start of the fleeing conflict like 17?
Yeah.
So yeah, they'd
So
be
they're
like
little,
yeah, like at most 19,
18,
18 and a
19,
half.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you see this child, and you have this context of, like you went to his country and fought for him in an abstract sense, and now he has come here and is fighting for you. And your experience wasn't ideal in Folia, but it was a lot better than Svednam. Um, yeah, you see this person struggling, and had seen this person before with Gus, not formally introduced yet. What do you think Aki does with this moment?
I think it takes a little bit of time. And I think Aki actually doesn't start with Ismarie or Noel, but with the other fallen Legion members on the battlefield. And this probably would take, I'm sure Ismarie will be there for a significant period of time, so it's not a
He's got more
rush.
things to yell at
Yeah.
Noel's dead body. I don't think it stops at
No.
any point. And I think it just gets like more like it's like louder as time goes. And like more frustrated to the point where he is kind of like like shaking Noel's body a little bit, like tossing his head around.
Yeah,
Um,
it's like there's not an explicit spell effect or magic effect that's happening, but it's like there's something that your brain is not supposed to be interacting with which is interacting with right now, and that is causing like a near mania in
I think
Ismarie.
yes, he feels fucking insane. And doesn't even like consciously process that he feels like a fucking insane person. And every moment that he spends interacting with this just makes it feel worse and worse and makes him feel more and more out of touch with what is actually happening. Um, yeah, he's fucked.
Yeah. But yeah, so Aki first before that escalation
Yeah.
happens, going amongst the bodies. Continue.
She would wipe off the dirt off of all of the faces of the Legion. Um, if they are in a unlike comfortable position, maneuver them so that they are lying on their back, give each a hug and close their eyes, and do that slowly while moving around
Yeah.
before making her way to Noel.
Yeah. At a certain point, I think like you're seeing Ismarie in grief, and I think at a certain point, Ismarie, just the way he's freaking out is like, okay, I'm gonna leave these couple of bodies and go and maybe, but yeah, continue.
I think Aki would position herself at like the chest of Noel if Ismarie is at his head and kind of kneel beside Noel and look towards Ismarie.
I think, sort of keep interrupting. I think there's an immediate sense in Ismarie's like most desperate moment of like, this doesn't make sense. I'm freaking out. This feels wrong. Like this is in a body, like just all the feelings that you're trying to process through. I think, and David, ultimately, this is also your choice of how Aki comes across. But there's a feeling to me that I'm feeling of like Aki is so centered and grounding. And like whether or not she has an answer, I think her presence as Ismir's shouting, stops shouting and looks at her as if she does have an answer. Like there's a feeling of like she has something for you. And maybe all that is just being beside you and breaking the pattern, but also up to you, David, of how Aki comes across.
I think Aki, yeah, is kind of a sense of grounding and does break the pattern to Ismari. And Aki would put one hand on Noelle's chest and reach out her hand upwards towards Ismari in kind of a gesture to grab onto it.
I think he grabs the hand back. I don't think it's so much a conscious gesture as like his subconscious like desperately scrambling for literally anything, a bone to be thrown his way. I don't think he's really thinking about things before he does them, before he says them so much. But that again, that kind of like grounding and that subconscious grounding, he does like reach out and take the hand offered.
These lands are different from your home. The earth remembers the stories of the fallen. They linger here. You do not have much time. It may not feel like it, but he is listening.
As like he says this, whatever Ismarie interprets to be true, there is also a secondary truth that whatever thing you believe from Aki, if you look at Noelle's body again, it will be broken. If you look at Noelle's body and see that uncanny thing, you will slip away again, and not in a like extreme way, but like the piece that you might be able to find from Aki grounding this will be gone, and the thing that will ground you to this moment of grief is not looking at your friend, but looking at this other person, assuring you that your friend can hear.
I think I think that there is such a deep desperation for like that tie back to Noel in this moment. The idea that like he could get something through. kind of like holds him to Aki. I think he still has a hand. One of his hands is, the one he didn't take the Aki's with, is still like kind of holding on to the side of Noel's head, sort of like still gripping him by the hair. And I think that everything that read like anger starts to read like fear. um, and he looks at Aki and he says, he was strong. I've never been very strong. He came here because he wanted to do this and he wanted to help people. He made those decisions by himself. And I just came because he was here. And he would always tell me that he didn't think that was true, that I wanted to help people, and that's what I was doing. And I would just laugh and let him think that. But the truth is that I am weak and I am selfish. And he deserves a better person to remember him. And I'm going to disappoint him because I won't be around to do it.
What is your friend's name?
His name is Noel.
That is a strong name. And what is yours?
He called me Izzy.
Izzy and Noel. You two have given everything for my home, and I will not forget you.
I think I think he just like unfolds into sobs. I think he is holding Aki's arm like as tight as he can. I'm sure it doesn't feel like almost anything to Aki. But I think that like he like you can, kind of like see that white knuckling,
I think
like and how strained his body is.
Aki will, similar to the corpses on the battlefield, embrace Ismari in a hug that, for probably the only time in Sevedium so far, feels warm.
Mhm.
I think at that moment is when the bulk of Redmond's Legion forces return to this part of the battlefield. Um, uh, this is where most of the like resources would be to gather, and also potentially like this point is where if there are any injured who are still alive can be reclaimed. Redmond will see Gus um, uh, being sullen amongst soldiers and bodies, and you'll see Ismarie like kneeling down as well. A magic person and a healer doesn't appear to be helping anyone in this moment. If you want to do some drama about that, but for the purpose of this scene, anything that happens, presuming all characters are within earshot and can join together.
Is Nicodemus with Redmond?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think Redmond speaks over to Nicodemus. I don't think he's smart, but I don't think he understands subtlety. And I think that's like one of his biggest things is he's not intuitive at all. And I think if he knew how to direct his smarts, then this shit he would not be this asshole guy. But I think he speaks over to Nicodemus. It seems their friend has passed in the fight. Maybe they will understand the costs that we pay.
Maybe. Hopefully. If they don't, I fear there'll be more losses.
I do hope that if I am still in command, they are not under my command.
There definitely gonna be a handful to whoever is giving them orders.
I
Noel,
think,
though.
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Noel, though. He seemed like a good soldier. Seemed like he died well.
I think he'll not respond to that. And I think, oh, I was gonna say something, I forgot. Kind of spicy, but damn it, I think I forgot it well. I think that he'll move on and probably say something mean that maybe I'll remember later that they overhear.
Well, again, I'll give you an edge for spicy. Again, Ismarie being a healer should be looking for people to
Oh,
help right now.
okay. So I should go there.
You should go there.
Wonderful. I think he looks around, audibly sighs. I did not ask to be in charge, but I have to be. And he
General
walked.
willed it.
He did walk over to the group. He's dead, I see.
You know that he's
Then there is nothing we can do for him. I will bring someone to carry his body to be burned with the rest. We need your healing Isbury. There are people that need it.
I think if Aki and Ismarie are still sitting in a way where they're kind of like looking at each other, I think Aki, who is older and wiser, recognizes a deep desire for violence in Ismarie in this moment. That his next words and actions are going to be exceedingly aggressive. I think depending on how Gus is looking at him, it feels, Ismarie's kind of a jackass, especially to Redmond, but this is different. This is not a snarky remark. Um, this is what is going to leave him next is I want you to feel bad. I want you to hurt. I want you to feel little. And he starts to like stand up very quickly. And nobody kind of like says anything. He just stands up and he says, "You need somebody useful to do something for you."
Not for me. I do nothing for me.
And he turns around and he goes, "You're a fucking liar. All of this, every single piece of it is wrapped up in your stupid fucking ego. You tell yourself it's about Legion so you feel better about the fact that you're absolutely fucking useless."
And crying will save him. There are others out here who are dying, and you are here crying about someone who has died. I understand emotions are a problem, but we have people to save and jobs to do. This is not a request, it is a command. If you request for a different burial than being burned, I think I can look into that. But we do not have time to feel. We have to work.
A command? And he does like smile. There is a laugh. He doesn't, I don't think he knows, right? That like she's dead. I don't think he's realized at this point. So this is just like laugh, like he's so angry, he's fucking shaking, and that is so like laughable to him that it's just like he just repeats it like a command.
I think I think he hold tries to hold face in this moment. I think if you want, I can roll for deceive.
I think so. Only because I
Yeah.
think someone under like being like a command probably does get to Redmond a little bit. Like probably like fucking-
Yeah. But I'm not at 0 hit points
Yeah.
anymore.
But
So it
dice
ain't
still descend.
descend.
No, the fact that you reach 0
Yeah.
hit points descends your dice for the day.
Oh.
Yeah. And if you
Okay,
hit
so
it
I
again,
guess
then you're double descended. And so it's
okay.
like added another layer of stakes of like you want to
Mhm.
avoid reaching 0 hit points at all costs for a number of
Okay.
reasons.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
I think as Andy's rolling this, Ismarie feels like a similar hand on his arm to Gus getting that earlier in the session. So just
The hand of chill out.
The hand of relax guy.
Yeah.
The hand of it's probably not worth it.
Sorry, dog barking. I am looking up stuff I have done and forgot. Sorry. All right, I'm gonna reroll. So, 27.
27.
Yeah.
I'm always surprised when I hear a number and go, what does that mean? And then I go, I gave myself a reference sheet for what that would mean.
I didn't want to say anything about it, but yes, you light up when you realize this every fucking time. You're so happy, and I love it.
Well, it's a thing. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
It seems to surprise you every time too. Like,
Well, it
oh,
does
I did
because
this thing.
it's like
Oh, past Jesse helps
time,
me. Yeah.
every time it goes. When I'm not sure exactly what a number would mean, because it's such a big scale, I go, well, okay, I know the general shape of the meaning of the numbers, but it's really hard to pinpoint that. And then I go, well, no, I've done the work to pinpoint that. So 20 something relatively simple, resolving tension with a friend, picking a pocket of common person. 30 something somewhat complex, convincing someone to do something they might not want to do, getting someone to extend their trust. Yeah, I think you're perfectly in the position right now. So I'm not gonna have anyone roll into it against you. I don't think that's quite what the situation is. I think what this is up to each character and each player. If you think their character sees through the face that Redmond is trying to put up right now,
And I think he's specifically trying to mask a bit of embarrassment and anger mostly.
yeah, it's just good enough to slip by if you weren't focusing. You know, like Ismarie is in a place where he could be too angry to catch it, or he could just be angry enough at Redmond to see the little like twitch of the eye, or like slight welling of the eyes or whatever it is. And similarly to Gus, of like, you know, you could be focusing on Ismarie, or you could be looking at Redmond's face and being like, oh, he you know, how all these characters present from their different experiences, if they're focusing and looking at Redmond, could catch this if they're in the right frame of mind.
I think Nicodemus would. Ismarie, Larissa fell in battle. Redmond's in charge of what's left. It is an order.
Starts laughing so hard. I think he starts laughing so hard, and he says, if any of the shit that the Legion spewed was even remotely true, had an inkling of credibility, they'd both be here and you'd be dead. And he just laughs. And I think that this is the marking point that, like, Ismarie, he will do what he feels like he needs to do to get by. This Legion shit is crackpot to him. It's his faith has just like blown up. Any bit that he had is gone.
I think if you're okay with it, I think Redmond wants to reply, Jesse. I don't know if you were going to say something.
I do want to give you a frame here, because that's a potentially a kill shot for Redmond, but also I was going to offer to Redmond and Nicodemus the potential of beginning to gain higher power of the general. So I think either it to the frame I'll give is either Redmond steals himself and it completes his like claiming of that, you know, like over week or whatever, or Ismarie creates a crack in the armor that won't be fixed, and Redmond won't move on from that. But respond as you like.
I think I've already written most of the response, and I think that settles which side. And I think we all know what side Redmond's leaning towards. And I think Redmond staring Ismarie's laughing face like straight, not laughing, not angry, not upset, just tired, uh, will respond, I understand you do not like what you are being told. That happens. But as you are in the Legion, under the command of the General, therefore you fall under my jurisdiction. And if you disobey, you will be put to death by the laws that you signed for. It's your choice. And he'll walk away.
I'm going to give somebody a chance here to intervene because I think that Ismarie is kind of like manic right now. Somebody needs to get this
I
kid.
think Aki would stand up and actually grab Redmond by the shoulder and twist him around so they're face to face.
I think when Aki steps in, because she's not Legion, it does kind of like break most people's brain, because it's like, oh, we're bickering over contextually what is justified to bicker over, but this person who has no allegiance to this, uh uh yeah, go ahead, David.
You are the commander of this legion.
I am the commander of this group here. And gesturing to like the 150 whatever people may survive.
Healing is happening. This is healing. You would do wise to remember soldiers can break. And
Thank you for your
broken
words.
soldiers are useless.
But you would do
to
wise to remember that you are not in this chain of command.
Can Aki like assess how the Legion's feeling right now? This tiny platoon.
Um,
Gonna turn it all against me.
make a let's do a luck check about it, because I don't think I think if I'm to interpret Aki's build right, is probably like a physical warrior build more than a intuit thing.
Mhm.
So yeah, let's do a luck check about it.
Perfect match. Watch.
464.
464, 565. So mixed luck. I think you can tell that the Legion is tired. I think that's the with mixed luck. I think that might be the best I can give you. I think saying anything else or what I want to say might give away too much. But you can tell the energy is not there for this.
Tired soldiers. Broken soldiers. Lost soldiers. Make mistakes. Make their own sense of justice.
Do not tell me of justice. We came here to save your ass. Let us do our job. I think he'll try to pull away.
Redmond, has no one ever shown you mercy or grace on the battlefield?
They did, and that is why I'm speaking to you guys. If you do not obey, you will be put to death. That is not an order from me. That is what we signed for. But you do have to listen to me. And I'm asking you to help save people and do your fucking jobs.
I've been here for 30 minutes. You don't think I did a scan before I settled? You fancy yourself a commander, a leader.
Old man, I would step down. You may be 3-on-2 right now, but I am in command around here.
This isn't a threat, Redmond.
Then shut up. If only talk if you care to back it the fuck up.
Do you know why people respected Clarice, respected Luana?
Because they were put there.
No.
Yes. You didn't know who she was. Did you? Did you know
Clarice
anything about her?
traveled with her for months.
I don't fucking believe that. I think
Look,
you act like you know everything, but listen, I am in charge. And if you don't like that, leave or die. And I think he'll raise his hand to like get his like whoever's attention.
Yeah. Really quick check in. So Remen tried to pull away from Aki. That is completely a David's choice whether or not he can. Um. Uh.
Not. I think Redmond had to stand here and listen to Gus. That's the only reason why Redmond's probably still here.
I think he'll probably try to step forward, but still being held by uh Aki, who can probably tell that he is not a threat physically.
Mhm.
But I think he'll step forward and like in a softer tone, like kind of looking up to Gus as he like adjusts his glasses. Probably mirroring the silhouette that he saw that night, except this time he can see, but he's seeing all the wrong stuff. And I think um you see that feeling that you noticed when you healed him earlier in his eyes. Deep, but it's there. And I think it stays there a bit longer than you thought it would. And he speaks to you. I don't want you to die, but we have a job to do. We can mourn later.
I think I lean in as well and just quietly say to you, real leaders have people who want to follow them.
Then I didn't ask for this. Not yet. But it is what I am doing. Just follow the orders. That's all I ask. I will make sure you are out of my command, or I am not in command anymore after this.
Just think about the people you're giving them to. That's all I ask.
Can you clarify that for me? That sentence.
Just like have some compassion for the people that you're giving the orders to.
I think he nods, but I think before he nods, I think with the 27, I think most of it's concealed.
Mhm.
Like this comfort, that this being nice, it's real, but also kind of not. He's using it. He's using feelings to get to you. And I think you maybe catch the feeling drain from his eyes, but he nods in agreement and turns to look at Aki. Can you let me go, please?
Aki will look at Gus.
I nod.
I let go. Enjoy your victory, Commander.
He'll walk away with probably Nicodemus in tow and whisper, probably loud enough for someone with good hearing to hear, handful my ass. Earlier, Nicodemus was like, yeah, they're going to be a handful.
Sometimes you give the horse a carrot, sometimes the stick.
I will not force them to feed forever. They must learn on their own or die.
to my phone again. I have to get in my car.
It's okay. This is the last minutes of this session. But yeah, I think one detail I'll add to that, which is that there would have been soldiers who went up with you, right? Like soldiers coming out of the field and joining with you. So there are people specifically who I want to have been there, or just witnesses for what Aki said. Like soldiers lost, soldiers, whatever that speech was. I think that Aki's presence, holding you, saying those things, like someone speaking with authority and power, that definitely like shook Legion's members. They're not going to stop listening to Redmond, but I think they're also like everyone's like a little bit off put or afraid of Aki as well. This just
We
like
should be.
yeah, heroic confidence. And he, like as time goes on, there will probably be rumors spread about Aki, like, oh yeah, Aki showed up in Folia, helped kill the Oracle of Cracked Eyes and bounced. Just like that kind of like heroic, like mythic figure. David, I have a question for you. In the events of Folia, in that campaign, we saw the forming of a cultural cultural fabric, including demigods and afterlives. One such thing has been formed in De Diumni for 2,000 plus years. How intimately do you think Aki knows about the myths and prophecies and demigods of her homeland?
I would say very,
Okay.
as her village that was an important part of her culture.
So there is a prophecy, like there are in all lands, about the ends of ages. In De Diumni, there are 3 dark demigods who wish to unleash some terrible ancient entity of darkness, completely beside the point of the lies stuff. And with that, there is a series of events that are supposed to unfold, of a weapon crossing the threshold in like a throne room in the Dark Spire. All these events that are kind of supposed to happen. The reason I'm informing you is because some weeks after this moment, and I'll explain more of what's happening next session, but the Felians will be turned against an enemy that everyone can agree is actually bad across the board, even if it might not be lies, in being the followers of those 3 dark demigods. So there's I ask now to prepare myself for what I'm going to feed into Aki, because I think even beyond this particular story, I think Aki's probably more concerned with those ongoings and trying to get the ideal outcome in her own homeland, and in the time that you are not with this party, because like, why would Aki hang out with these people after this day? Those are the kinds of things that you will be pursuing. But anyways, sorry, my brain's breaking because when we end a session, we just stop streaming.